Hey there, it's been a while. So you probably read the title and you probably know what this video is going to be about. If this is something you're not interested in, then you can go ahead and click off, but I'm just gonna here discussing why I won't spend like any money on the three Hoyo games anymore. There is a lot of reasons to it, but I'll break them down here. So let's begin the rant, I guess. Alright, let's start off with the game that's the easiest to explain why, ZZZ. Now, I don't really have that many issues with the game. It's my favorite out of the three, and I've been enjoying it a lot. But the main reason why I won't spend any money in this game is because I haven't spent any money to begin with. I was free to play since the day it launched on, I think it was 4th of July on PS5, and I already spent a decent amount of money in the other two oil games, so I feel like I should just try doing it free to play, and it's a really nice breath of fresh air. It feels a lot different, but I don't know. It feels a little bit different because like you don't have really that much bonuses, and you have to actually like calculate your pulls and stuff if you want like certain characters that are coming up. In general, I think this game is the best in terms of like the combat related, because everything's like really flashy. Like all the characters' movements are sick, and with the chain attack function, it adds a lot more like planning to it, and it just feels great to play. Do I think it's perfect? Absolutely not. There are definitely some things that can be improved in this game. Even though they improved it by a lot, there's still room for improvement no matter like what state the game's in. There is something I'm a little bit worried about though. Ever since WAYY released, she's been at like the top of like DPS charts and character charts. That part is a little bit worrying, but who knows what they'll do in the future. In general, ZZ's a good game. Few issues here and there, but overall I think it's the best out of the three. But there's a lot more negativity I have towards the other two games, which I will explain in a little bit. Overall, the other two Hoyo games, they have either recent problems or problems that have been going on for a while that are pretty bad, and I hope ZZZ does not like run into these problems in the future, which, let's be honest, there's a good chance it will happen because it is a Hoyo game, and sometimes the decisions they make are not the best, so we could only hope that ZZZ does not go down the route. And with that, let's explain the other two. Okay, now on to Star Rail. Now, I only been playing Star Rail since like late 1.6 because that's when I got a PS5 and I could play it. So I am not know for sure. Some of my points may be wrong, but correct me if you want. But the game has not been through that many, I would say, controversial phases until fairly recently. Now, a little bit of a heads up, I am going to be talking about leaks regarding the next character that they were supposed to release, Castorus. If you don't want to look at leaks, which I highly doubt, not everyone's seen them already. It's been a wild discussion lately. So if you don't want to hear about the leaks, I'll give you a few seconds to skip to the final part of the video where I talk about Genshin. But to simply put it, Castorus has a passive that could set a really bad future in the game if the character does well on banner sales. Alright, for people who don't want to get leaked, this is your last chance. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright, so what Castorus's passive does is that as long as you have her on your account, the whole team gets a free revive, and she doesn't have to even be in the team for it to activate. Now that sounds really, really bad, because it is. And that makes Castorus a pay-to-win character, because if you don't have her, that technically makes your account like worse than people who do. And if that doesn't sound bad, I don't know what does. Because people, well, not really people, but the Star Rail developers, they will see that if the sales go well, they might add more characters that can do similar passives like that. Like, imagine if they have a character, if they ever release a character with a passive like that, that can increase their crit damage, and they don't have to even be on the team for it to activate. That would be broken as hell, and it would be very pay to win and unfair. I've even heard that some of the leakers were hesitant to like say the Casterus passive outright because of the reaction that the community would have. And they were right. It was catastrophic. Like we need to make it clear that we do not want this to go through. Even though by the time I think version 4 has already came out and they actually buffed the passive. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, that proves that it's 100% going to make it through into the live servers. Which is why I am not going to be pulling for Casterus at all. I'm going to be pulling for WAYY because I need another support, but that's besides the point. Like, if we just don't pull on Casterus like that, or if she doesn't really do as well as they thought, like, it will prove that we do not want these types of passes in the game. But people are going to pull on it 100%. I don't know exactly who, but people are going to pull on it regardless of how like predatory or pay to win it is or not. But that's not my place to judge since I won't be doing that. But that's like the main thing with Star Rail right now. So let's move on to Genshin. And oh boy, I have a lot of things to say about that. Oh yeah, as I was editing, I just remembered something if I just add this in quick. But the 3.0 story of how it went through, it was also pretty bad. It felt really, really slow, and I did not really have a great time doing the 3.0 story. 3.1 though, it was a good improvement. It could have been a little bit better in my opinion, but it had good moments, I'll put it like that. But yeah, I just wanted to put this in just to add that quick remark because I just remembered at the time I'm editing this. Alright, where do I begin with Genshin? Now, want to be clear, this was my first ever Hoyo game, because I started playing it when I had a PS4, and that was the only like Hoyo game I could play on, was on PS4's Genshin Impact, so this was like many other people's first experience to a gacha game with like gambling gacha mechanics. And for the first little bit, I had fun. My friend introduced me to the game and I started to really enjoy it. But over time, I started to like kind of like burn out a little bit. Nowadays, I just play and do dailies and get off. If there's missions, I just do them like brainlessly. The missions have good moments, like the Archon quest in Natlan. They had very good moments. Were they the best quest in the entire world? No, of course they weren't. There isn't like an absolute best like story. There's always holes and flaws in every story or show or game like in the world. But I'm not really going to talk about the story right here. I'm mainly talking about again a reason why I'm not spending money on this game anymore. Now, Genshin was the game I spent the most amount of money on. I don't remember exactly how much, but I know it was a good amount over the past like 3 or 4 years I played this game. Now, let's start with that anniversary, I think last year, 2 years ago, 3 years, 3 faiths, where they gave away 3 polls for 3 years of services or something like that. Yeah, that was pretty bad. I made a video on it, but honestly, it was a very, very shitty video. I was just rambling on. I didn't really have a clear cut explanation. So that was a very bad video I did. And I could have done a lot better, but I don't know. I was just bored. I guess I just wanted to make it. But that's besides the point. Now, the main problem I had with Genshin recently is when I started to not want to spend money was the Mavwika and Sitlali banners. Probably the most predatory thing they ever done in this game. They put both of the limited characters who have really good synergy with each other on the same phase, and the day after the banners end, then they give out the anniversary pulls, which is like 20, I think. It's kind of the standard for Genshin at this point. The practice, it was very predatory. I managed to get one character. I kept on trying to convince myself that I don't need Mabuika, I can pull her on a rerun, but eventually, 3 days before our banner ended, I caved. I fell for the predatory practices and I spent money and got her. At the time, I was just happy I got her, but now I'm actually starting to regret getting it because I fell for the practice that was very predatory, and they knew what they were doing when they did that. So I started to regret getting both of them, and I thought I would just be fine getting one of them originally. So, like at this point, in my opinion, it's not worth spending any sort of money on this game, which is why I'm just gonna stop like spending. Like no Welkins, no battle passes, no top ups, no nothing. From this point on, I am going strictly free to play. Do I consider this a whale account? Hell no, I do not think this is a whale account, even though I spent a good amount of money on it. I do not have a single C6 5-star. I did not spend that amount of money in the game. But I do have a few C1 5-stars which I got over time. So this counts as, like, I guess a mini whale account, whatever you call it, whatever the people call it. But yeah, I would go free to play from the start. If like I had to go back in time, I would just not spend anything at all and just deal with it, not getting like every character and falling for the shit. But in general, like this game has just been a little bit slow lately, especially 5.4. This was a very, very dry patch. And I did not really enjoy it too much. The Mizuki stuff was alright. I wanted to get her, but she's going on the standard banner, so it would just be a complete waste. So, like, I'll get her eventually, but yeah, thank God I didn't fall for that. If I pulled from Mizuki, I would have been, like, even more of a moron than I already was, but yeah, that's all I really have to say for 5.4. 5.5, though, with Marisa, the new zone looks pretty cool, the quests look cool. Am I gonna pull for Marisa? Yes, but with the gems and stuff I saved up for not spending money. Because again, at this point, it's not worth spending money on Genshin anymore. I could pretty much 36 star of the Abyss and get full stars on the Imaginarium Theater whenever like those reset. And I don't need to spend anymore. Like there really is no other point of doing this. Will I ever C6 a character that's a 5-star? Of course I won't. I do not want to like C6 anybody right now. If given the opportunity though, I would, but would I actually like do it? No. Like, in my opinion, it's just not worth spending $2,000 on a character that will eventually be like power crept by others. In general, the end game is pretty damn stale and repetitive, and I wish there was a lot more, but they probably won't add something like that for a very long time because it took them almost 5 years to release Imaginarium Theater, so who knows when the next end game is going to be. If they even release another endgame in the future, which I'm starting to kind of doubt considering the direction this game's going in right now. But that's besides the point. In general, yeah, that's why I'm not spending money on the Hoyo games, and yeah, I just wanted to go on this little rant, and also because I was bored and I had nothing to do. So I hope you enjoyed listening to me yap about some of the problems these games have and what I think about the games. So I'll see you next time I decide to upload.